It was a Thursday night, around 11:30 p.m. I remember because I'd just paused my game and leaned back in my chair, headphones still around my neck, debating whether to get a midnight snack or just crash. My parents were out of town for a wedding in another state. They'd be gone until Sunday. I had the house to myself. No big deal. I'd done it before. I was 18. The house was in a safe neighborhood. We even had one of those smart doorbell cameras. It was quiet outside. No wind, no cars passing by. The kind of quiet that makes everything sound louder. Your own breathing, the creaks of the house settling, the hum of the fridge. Then the doorbell rang. I froze. Not because someone rang it, it's a doorbell, but because of the time. No one rings your doorbell at 11:30 at night. I didn't move at first, just sat there in my chair, staring at my bedroom door. It rang again, and that's when I got up, cautiously. I moved down the hallway, turned off the lights as I went, instinct, I guess. Didn't want whoever it was seeing inside. The house fell into darkness, silent, still. Only the faint glow from the streetlight outside filtered in through the blinds. I reached the front door and hesitated, then leaned forward, carefully, and peeked through the peephole. My heart dropped. There was a man standing there. Tall, motionless, a dark hoodie pulled up over his head, shadowing his face. But I could tell he was trying to hide, trying not to be recognized. He wasn't fidgeting, he wasn't knocking, he was just waiting. I backed away from the door, locked it, deadbolt, chain, all of it. And then I heard it, glass shattering. Not from the front door, from the side of the house. I didn't even stop to think. I turned and bolted, straight up the stairs, heart thundering in my chest like it was trying to break free. The hallway blurred past me. I reached my bedroom and slammed the door shut behind me, as quietly as I could manage. Then I crossed the room in a panic and yanked open the closet door. It was dark, cluttered. Coats, boxes, old shoes. I squeezed in anyway, crouching low, pushing myself into the corner behind a stack of winter clothes. The smell of dust and fabric softener filled my nose. I pulled the door mostly shut, leaving just a crack. Everything went quiet, except for my breathing and the pounding in my ears. I held my breath, trying to listen. I could hear the wind now, through the broken window, I assumed. But it wasn't just the wind. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, on the hardwood floor. Someone had come inside. They weren't speaking, just moving, steady, confident. I heard the sound of a drawer opening in the kitchen. A pause. Another drawer, like they were searching. I wanted to call the police. My phone was in my pocket, but I was afraid the screen light would give me away, or worse, that I'd make a sound. I stayed quiet. The footsteps got closer, through the dining room, into the hallway. Then they started going room by room. I could hear the floor creak, the sound of doors opening, a thud as something fell. Then, footsteps coming up the stairs. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. Whoever it was, they were moving with intention. Not in a hurry, but not hesitant either. I heard my bedroom door creak open. Silence. Then slow footsteps crossing the carpet. Then, the door to the closet I was hiding in. Not all the way, just a hand on the doorknob, a slight turn. And then, "Hey," another voice whispered sharply from somewhere further back. I stopped breathing. "Come on," the voice said, louder now. "Let's go, leave it." There was a pause. I imagined them standing there, hand on the door, deciding. Then, footsteps, 2 sets, back through the hallway, down the stairs. Front door opened, then slammed. Silence. I stayed frozen, for what felt like forever. Eventually, I worked up the nerve to open the door. My legs were shaking so badly I could barely stand. I tiptoed through the house. They'd broken the small side window in the laundry room. Glass was everywhere. Muddy footprints on the tile. They'd opened drawers, pulled cushions off the couch, looked under tables, but nothing was stolen. The weirdest part? On the kitchen counter, they'd left something, a single object, a disposable camera, just sitting there. I didn't touch it. The police took it as evidence when they came. They said the film had been used, every shot, but they wouldn't tell me what was on it, just said it was under investigation. We changed the locks, got a security system. My parents bought a dog the next week, but I haven't been the same since. I grew up in a quiet, safe suburb on the edge of town, one of those places where everyone waves to each other, where the loudest noise at night is a barking dog 2 houses down. We didn't lock our windows. Some neighbors even left their garage doors open overnight. I guess it made people comfortable, maybe too comfortable. This happened when I was 17. It was late October, still warm during the day, but the nights had that early bite of winter. My parents were heading out of town for the weekend, just Friday to Sunday. They were visiting my aunt a few hours away. I convinced them to let me stay home. I had schoolwork to do, and honestly, I just wanted the house to myself. No lectures, no chores, just me, pizza, and horror movies. They left around 3 p.m. on Friday. My mom reminded me, twice, to lock up and check the back door before going to sleep. I said I would. I meant it. That night was normal at first. I ordered food, fell into a rabbit hole of old VHS-style horror on YouTube, and stayed up far too late. Sometime after 2 a.m., I fell asleep on the couch with the TV still buzzing in the background. When I woke up, something was off. It was dark. The TV had gone to sleep mode. The air was colder, too cold. I sat up slowly. My neck was sore, the kind of soreness that comes from sleeping in a weird position, or from not moving for too long. Then I noticed it. The front door. It was slightly open. Not wide, just enough that the deadbolt hung there uselessly, and I could see the porch light leaking in through the gap. I froze. Did I forget to lock it? No, I knew I had. I remember double-checking it after the pizza guy left. Still half asleep, I stood up and walked over, locked it, bolted it, peered out the peephole. Nothing. Quiet street. But that kind of thing doesn't sit right. You don't just forget that. I shook it off. Maybe I'd brushed against it sleepwalking or something. I turned to go back to the kitchen to grab water, and that's when I saw it. The back door, wide open. Not slightly, not cracked, but open. The curtain was swaying in the breeze, and the screen door banged softly with every gust. Cold night air spilled into the hallway, and the silence felt wrong. That's when the fear hit me. Sudden, physical, like the realization dropped straight into my gut. Somebody was in the house. I didn't hear anything. No footsteps, no voices, but there's a kind of stillness that tells you something isn't right. I ran upstairs, locked myself in my bedroom, pushed the dresser in front of the door. I grabbed my phone and called my mom, straight to voicemail. I texted both my parents something vague. Hey, weird noise downstairs. Might be my imagination, just letting you know. I didn't want to panic them. I told myself maybe the wind blew the door open. Maybe I didn't shut it properly. Then I noticed something else. My bedroom window, it was locked, but the curtains had been moved, slightly parted, like someone had peeked out. I know I left them drawn shut. That was enough for me. I called the police. I told the dispatcher everything, that I woke up, both doors were open, and I was alone. She was calm, asked if I could stay in a safe room with a lock. I told her I already was. She stayed on the line until the cops arrived. I heard their knock within 5 minutes, lights flashing outside. I came down only when they confirmed it was safe. They searched the house, top to bottom. Nothing. No signs of forced entry, no intruders. They said maybe I forgot to lock the doors. Maybe it was the wind. But they did find something strange. In the guest room closet, which I never use, there were crumbs, food wrappers, an old juice bottle, tucked way in the corner behind a suitcase. Someone had been living in my house. They checked the attic next. The panel was slightly ajar, with a cord hanging down, like someone had been climbing in and out. There was a blanket up there, a pillow, and a few granola bar wrappers. It looked like they'd been there a while. The police couldn't find prints. Whoever it was, they were careful. They had probably been sneaking out when I left for school or when my family was away. Quiet, patient, watching. I didn't sleep for the next 3 nights. Not properly. My parents came back early. We had the locks changed. We even installed cameras. I never heard anything, never saw anyone. But someone had been there, watching, waiting, and to this day, I don't know if they ever really left. It sounds ridiculous. I know, but that's how it started. I had just moved into a small duplex on the outskirts of town, my first real place by myself. I was 23, fresh out of school, working a freelance tech job that kept me mostly glued to my laptop. I didn't need much, just a quiet space, fast internet, and a decent coffee maker. The place was old but charming. Hardwood floors, a slightly tilted porch, one of those weird floor heaters built into the middle of the living room that burns your shins if you walk too close. It was cheap, which should have been my first red flag. I noticed it my second night there. I was up late watching YouTube, curled up on the couch with the lights off. The street outside was quiet. 1 or 2 porch lights across the block, but mostly dark. That's when I heard the mail slot open. Just a soft metallic clink. Then something slid through and landed on the hardwood with a dull flap. I figured it was a late flyer or pizza menu. But when I went over to check, there was nothing there. No paper, no sound of someone walking away, just the cold night air seeping through the slit. I opened the door, looked left, then right. Nothing. I even stepped out onto the porch barefoot, looked around. No footsteps, no rustling bushes, just empty suburban night. I locked the door and went back to bed, brushing it off as nothing. Houses make noise. Old mail slots are loose. The next morning, though, I noticed something strange. The rug inside the front door was pushed back about a foot, like someone had stepped on it from outside. That was the first time I checked the locks twice before going to bed. Over the next week, the sound continued. Always late at night, always just one sound. Clink. Then a soft slide, and each time there was nothing there. No letters, no flyers, no junk mail. Just the flap swinging slightly, like someone had pushed something through that. Disappeared. On the 4th night, I put a piece of cardboard inside the slot, just taped it there to keep it from opening. That night, I heard the sound again. I got up and walked over to the door. The cardboard was torn, like something had forced its way through. I took it down and went outside again. Nothing. The neighborhood was dead quiet. No movement. But I noticed something new. My welcome mat was flipped upside down. Just the word welcome facing the wrong way. I hadn't touched it. I installed a doorbell cam the next morning. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even want to say it out loud, because honestly, I didn't want it to be anything. I just needed to prove to myself that nothing was happening, that it was just wind or paranoia or the house shifting. But that night, at 3:11 a.m., the mail slot opened again, and this time, something was left behind. A single piece of paper, folded in half. No envelope, no markings, just thick, yellowed paper. I unfolded it slowly. There was handwriting inside, slanted, jagged, in black ink. It read, "Are you awake yet?" That was it, nothing else. I reviewed the doorbell footage. It glitched, froze at 3:10 and resumed at 3:13. 2 whole minutes gone. No activity, no motion detected. The next night, I stayed up, fully awake, sitting by the front door with my phone recording. At 2:58 a.m., the room got colder. Not just cooler, cold. Like the temperature dropped 10 degrees in less than a minute. And then the sound. I jumped up and opened the door immediately. Nothing. No one outside, no letters, no wind. I slammed the door shut and sat down, shaking. I told myself I was done. Whatever it was, prank, glitch, my own brain, I wanted no part of it. But the next morning, there were more papers. 4 of them, all slid under the mail slot during the night. Each one handwritten, no envelopes, each one worse than the last. "We see you. You left the light on upstairs." I didn't have an upstairs. "Don't move." That one was timed. It was there when I got out of bed. "You're not alone." I stopped sleeping after that. I stayed up all night with the lights on. I taped the slot shut again, then nailed a piece of wood over it from the inside. But that night, I still heard the sound. Even though it was sealed, I pulled the wood off in the morning. No damage, no mail, nothing. But the rug pushed back 2 feet. I emailed my landlord, told him I thought someone was messing with the slot. He brushed it off, said, "Kids in the neighborhood do that sometimes." I asked if anyone else in the duplex had complained. He said, "You're the only tenant on that side." "What about the other side?" I asked. Silence. Then, "That unit's been empty since October." I paused. "It's March." "Yeah," he said. "Haven't been able to find anyone who'll stay longer than a few weeks." I asked why. He hung up. I went to the other side of the duplex that afternoon. The door was locked. Windows dusty. But the porch had footprints, bare feet, small, like a child's. But the soil was dry, no rain in days. They were fresh. That night, I pushed a small table in front of the front door, just to see if it moved. At 3:12 a.m., I heard it. The table had shifted. I jumped up, heart racing. No letters this time, but the mail slot was wide open and cold air was pouring through. I finally decided to sleep in the back room. No windows, no vents, just a mattress and a light bulb. I locked the bedroom door and put a chair under the knob. That night, I slept. Until I woke up at 3:33 a.m. because the light was off, and I didn't turn it off. I reached for my phone. It was gone. Then I heard it. From the hallway, footsteps, slow, barefoot. They stopped outside my door. Silence. Then something scraped against the wood. I held my breath. A voice whispered, "Found you." When I opened the door the next morning, nothing was there. But my phone? It was back on my pillow, with a photo on the screen. Me, sleeping, taken from the foot of the bed. I left the house that day, packed a single bag and drove 6 hours to stay with a friend. I didn't go back for 3 weeks. When I finally returned, the mail slot was gone. Not sealed, not taped, gone. Just a hole in the door, and a note taped above it. "Now we can come in.